Okay, well, it's 11:01. Why don't we go ahead and kick off this webcast? I want to thank everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to hop in on this. I'm going to try to keep this shorter. I tend to sometimes fly through slides, but I know I'm already hungry for lunch and it's just 11 o'clock. So I know your time's valuable. So why don't we hop on in to talking about Tyler Deploy and upcoming installs of that. So if you're new to K-12 and finance, I want to introduce you to our team. My name is Kristen Lambert. I'm the team lead, technical analyst for Enterprise ERP, also known as Munis. Work closely with Kim York, who's on my team, and our vendor partner, Kathy Pelletier, who is a senior support account manager, works with Kentucky on any questions, issues that we have. And she's on this webcast too, and will be joining us at the end. So just little housekeeping notes. We do have Q&A enabled. If you had any questions, you can pop them in there. At the end of the session, we'll allow people that have mics. If you want to ask a question, you can just raise your hand and we'll unmute your mic and we can chat, have a little dialogue there. But feel free to throw any questions you have in the Q&A that you see at the top of the screen. Today we're going to talk about the upgrade process, just a little bit of overview, Tyler Deploy, the life cycle process, the steps that you need to take, the resources quickly that are available to you. Then I'm going to hop into Deploy and actually schedule a deployment for KDE's train environment for our Tyler Hub. So the upgrade process has changed over the years, and it's changed now to you decide when to install the quarterly release. Of course, it's always been like that as far as scheduling it, but the power's in your hands as far as using Tyler Deploy and scheduling these things. They can be done after hours, on weekends via Tyler Deploy. So on Friday afternoon, you're like, oh, I'm going to upgrade this weekend or upgrade my test environment. You can go ahead and schedule that. It's also great because you don't have to worry, your production environment's no longer down during the day since these upgrades can be done overnight and on weekends. Tyler Deploy is a tool. It's accessed via a web browser. It's used to deploy upgrades and updates to various Tyler products, just not Enterprise ERP, but Tyler Deploy. And there's a whole slew of other products owned by Tyler that is managed through Tyler Deploy. Tyler does not take responsibility for keeping your system up to date. It's in your hands to schedule your automatic updates and also for your ERP administrator to schedule those quarterly upgrades. From my understanding, an email went out from Tyler yesterday reminding people, hey, version 2021.10 is coming to end of life. You want to go ahead and consider getting scheduled to upgrade. So another thing about Tyler Deploy, it gives you the power to schedule it on your time. So it fits your schedule. Some of the benefits is accessed via browser. Back in the old days, we had something called the MIU. That was a client that was installed on your machine. A number of configurations had to be done to the MIU for you to use it. So we no longer have to worry about that. It's a one-stop for your release management, also your release notes, automatic updates, and it does have a friendly, easy-to-use interface. I just kind of figured it out on my own. I, of course, use Tyler resources, but just clicking through menus, I was able to figure it out and deploy upgrades a long time ago. You access Deploy using the Tyler Deploy link. If you don't have a login, you do need a request run through the support portal. It uses your support user account to access Tyler Deploy. If you currently have a Tyler Deploy administrator in your district and you want someone else to have access, say you're a CFO and you want your CIO is going to get more involved in helping manage ERP, fingers crossed there, you have the ability to log into Tyler Deploy and create additional user accounts. Let's see here. Of course, if you don't have anyone in your district that has access to Tyler Deploy, it will be a support case with TSM SaaS support to request access. During the initial login, when you log into Tyler Deploy for the first time, you are required to set up two-factor authentication. Both the Microsoft Authenticator app and the Google Authenticator app will work for that. That's the way of the world now, multi-factor authentication. And when you log on the first time, it does walk you through that. You take your camera, your phone, and scan a QR code on it, and it's pretty easy to set up. So I often get the question, hey, I have automatic updates turned on, so I don't need to do anything with this quarterly update, right? And that is not the case. Automatic updates are for patching. They're not for upgrading a quarterly release. It's also Tyler Deploy has Tyler Hub and other products you may own that need to be upgraded. One of the things too with automatic updates I want to point out, I suggest you have latest marked. I'm going to show a screenshot of this um, when you have updates installed. I'd say about 99% of districts here probably do not install updates and test and then verify everything before putting it in live. So if you have your production environment is one version of Munis, one quarterly release of Munis, and your test environment is an entirely different version of Munis, if you have your automatic update set to sync, it's not going to update your production environment because they're not on the same releases. So I'd suggest hop into Tyler Deploy, select automatic updates, select the little pencil or pin for the edit feature, and you can see over here says update type, install latest. So that's something I would suggest looking at. I did receive a report recently to show us what version that everyone's running and when the last updates were installed. There's 3 or 4 districts that haven't had updates installed for a long time, so it's worth the hop into automatic updates and checking your schedule to make sure you're getting routine updates to Enterprise ERP and also Tyler Hub. Each night or whenever you have Tyler Deploy, have your automatic updates scheduled. You can receive notifications via email. It'll include, it was successful. It'll also include the release notes of everything that was installed during the update. If you're not set up to receive those notifications via email and you don't want to get those notifications, okay, I still suggest, maybe on a monthly basis, you log into Tyler Deploy and make sure those automatic updates are running. One thing I do is I have a separate folder in Outlook for all those Tyler Deploy notifications to go so it doesn't clutter up my inbox, but I can still quickly click on that folder and verify everything's running. And if you don't receive those notifications, but you do want to receive those notifications, again, that's another case. TSM SaaS support can set that up. Up to 2 people in your district can have received those notifications, last I heard. So a quarterly release is a mini upgrade, and you're hopped on this webcast because I sent out information from Tyler about the latest quarterly release is now available, 2024.2. These changes are going to be very minor if noticeable at all. It's a accumulation, try to spit that out, of all the MUNs that are available have been all packaged together and rolled into a new release. There may be 1 or 2 new features, and when I say features, they're going to be very minor. It's in the old days when we used to do upgrades, it was considered a major release upgrade, and we would hop from, say 11.3 to version 10 or 10 to 2019. Those were big changes. This is really nothing. It's very minor. Again, these quarterly releases are considered upgrades and they're not applied via automatic updates. It does take action on your part to hop into Tyler Deploy and schedule those. You can schedule it for nights and weekends, so it can run after hours, but they also can be run on demand. So, your test environment, if nobody's using that, which, typically there's not getting used a lot during the day, you can go ahead and run it on demand and see how it works. And this doesn't apply to just EERP, it applies to other Tyler products you own, such as Tyler Hub, which is the landing page for when you hop onto Munis. That should be upgraded first before EERP. So the release naming convention, when we talk about versions of Munis, the first 4 numbers For instance, 2024, that's the name of the major release. Version 2021, 2024, they're the exact same major version. They just renamed it this calendar year. The number immediately following that is the quarter release, and we're now on dot two. And the very last numbers in the naming convention, that is a hot fix or bundle of MUNs, MUNs. And they're compiled each night and put out on Tyler Deploy. You can't install an individual MUN. It comes together as a bundle of updates, and that's what those last three numbers indicate. Quarterly release is supported for 15 months. Depending on when you upgrade, it's really about 12 months you need to upgrade. I really recommend you get on a quarterly life cycle of upgrading every quarter. Right now, we have about 63% of districts as of last week. We're still running 2021.10. That will retire this November. You will be unable to process any W-2s, 1095s, 1099s until you update. There's also going to be 2 required updates out this late fall for the Kentucky Employee Benefits Program, and those must be applied before importing the open enrollment file. I am not confident that will be in version 2021.10, so you do need to be upgraded by the 1st of December so you have that upgrade. Okay, moving on, I'm going to stop here for a quick question. How do you find if the MUN has been applied? Difference between deployments and tasks. So we'll talk about if MUN has been applied or not here in a moment, so you can see what release you're on. And that's a really good question. Have to give little kudos and props. As of last week, when we had the report run, we did have this group of districts that have already upgraded to 2024.1 or 2024.2. Some went ahead as soon as that came out and updated their prod environment. So good job. There, I'll send out a link with all the note with the PowerPoint slides, and the very top here is a link to the lifecycle page and Tyler community. It shows how it retires, the scheduling of future quarterly updates. If you upgrade to 2024.2, that will retire again next November. So if you do not do future quarterly releases, you're going to be forced again next November to upgrade. Take a quick. Okay, I have a question here. I'm going to stop. Can we go straight from 2021.10 to 2024.2? Yes, you can, and you don't have a choice, because as soon as 2024.2 is available, unless you have one of these prior versions sitting in your test environment, those versions are no longer available for you to upgrade to. There's something called syncing. You can sync your test environment to your prod environment, and that only syncs the program, not your data. So if you have one of those other versions in your test environment, you can update prod to one of those versions. But after 2024.2 becomes available, these all disappear from Tyler Deploy, and will be jumping to 2024.2. And I threw this visual in just because, I think it helps you understand, if you're on 2021.10, you're going to have to take a big jump up to 2024.2. While these may be minor, you don't want to do this. I'm getting old. Going up one step is no big deal. If I had to physically hop up that many steps, that would be an issue. So think about getting a quarterly cadence going, a reminder on your calendar that, about a month or so after the quarterly release has been sent out, that you upgrade your test environment, and then schedule several weeks later to get your prod and train environment upgraded. Why Tyler hasn't said this, it's always suggested not to have a payroll open during the time of an upgrade. It's just kind of common sense. You don't want that open just in case. But going forward, think about getting a quarterly cadence and upgrading those quarterly updates as they come out. And I had a question about how can I tell if an MUN has been applied? So there's a couple ways, and we can hop on there later, but the easiest way is on your very front page with Tyler Hub. You have a question mark in the upper right-hand corner. If you select that, it will tell you your ERP version right here. So if I said a update was released in version 2021.11.100 and you're running .155, then you know the update has been released because 155 is greater than 100. Now, if I had said that the update was available in 2021.11.200 and you're running 155, you know you're not up to date with that MUN because the release you're running is less than that release that that update was in. So hopefully that answers the question. So that's the quickest and easiest way for anyone in your district, including the administrator, to see what version you're on. It maybe takes a moment to refresh and load. That's what I look at quickly to see what anyone's running. You can also look in Tyler Deploy. There's an overview button on the left-hand side. The green font means you're running the most current release for that channel, for that version. So you may be current on 2021.11, but there are other channels available for you. The black font means updates are available in that channel, and the orange font indicates that a release has come end of life. So next question I have here. So as of today, do we need to be on 2024.2? You don't have to be on it today, but you need to be on it by the end of November, 1st of December. It retires in November. I'll go back here to the life cycle policy really quick. 2021.10, if you're running that in support in November 2024. If you're running 2021.11, you're still good until February, but I would not wait to upgrade. Go ahead and start looking at your calendar if you're running one of these older versions to go ahead and get upgraded. So let's see here. Let's talk about the upgrade steps. Of course, this will be in the notes. You can click on the links. There's access to self-help article on how to do upgrades and also major enhancements. Release notes on Tyler. This is the same thing I get every day with the when Tyler Deploy does updates, automatic updates, the release notes. You select the release notes from the left side. You choose the product that you want, the release, which is if you're, it depends on what release you're wanting to look at. If you want to look at 2024, you'd put in 2024.2 and the very lowest number, and the end release would be the highest, and you can look at all the notes, and those would be all the individual MUNs that have been applied each night. The overview here on the upgrade steps, the very first thing you should do is run a DIA and fix any conditions in live. You shouldn't have many or any conditions. I haven't seen any lately with any upgrades, but you should just run that really quick, make sure everything's okay. Refresh test via Cloud Admin and upgrade test. I suggest doing the refresh so you have an upgrade or refreshed test environment. Quite often those can get pretty stale. It also ensures that there's no DIA conditions in your test environment, especially if it hasn't been refreshed in a long time. Upgrade your test environment and make sure to upgrade products in the order listed. That's on another slide. Do any contesting that you want to do, and then you repeat those steps for production in your train environment. Tyler suggests backing up your production environment via the Cloud Admin before any upgrades. So maybe you know you're going to upgrade overnight tonight. You would maybe at the end of the day hop into Cloud Admin and do a backup, but know that being a SaaS customer each night, Tyler does do a backup each night. But if you just want to go ahead and do that extra step of precaution via Cloud Admin, you can do it there. And again, I noted that it's suggested not to have a payroll open during the upgrade. So have another good question here, and I'll get to that in a moment, Aaron, because I'm going to hop into Tyler Deploy. Tyler Deploy steps, I did take a screenshot, although I am going to show you an example. I'm going to hop into Tyler Deploy. This is doing enterprise ERP. You should do Tyler Deploy as your very first upgrade though, just as a note. I select Enterprise ERP. You select your environment from the drop-down menu. From here, there's a channel. You select that drop-down. At this point, only 2024.2 should be available to you to upgrade. And then you'll select the release drop-down and just select the highest number at the top of the list. Just a little note, keep the forced redeployment blank. And you can schedule it for now. If you hit start, it will go on demand. So if you wanted to do your test environment later this afternoon, you could just do that. If you wanted to schedule it for overnight, you do that toggle, a screen would come up and you would schedule the time that you want the deployment to run. Mentioned earlier, there is a order to upgrading Tyler products that they recommend. And the first thing listed is the Omni bar. That's the blue bar with the Tyler logo, program names. It's on every screen. I've seen one update for that over the last several years. So don't stress about that, but if it's available, go ahead and apply it. You'll do want to upgrade Tyler Hub. If you have Ready Form users, they say Ready Form should be next. And then Enterprise ERP along with the other extra products you may own from Tyler. And we'll touch on this too at the end when Kathy hops on and we do some Q&A. While you shouldn't receive this message, it's a possibility it may come up. It says prereq information and something saying servers marked invalid and it's missing some prereqs and it tells you to go back and install stuff. We can't install stuff. That's managed by Tyler, and they're doing thorough review and monitoring servers right now and installing. They know that Kentucky's doing this webcast today, and everybody's going to be looking for upgrades. That note, though, even if they get stuff fixed, it does require a server reboot overnight quite often. So if you do something today and something isn't working, don't stress out. Give it another day or so. Try it again. If you have an issue, then you're going to want to reach out to both Kathy and also the team, eerp@education.ky.gov. If you can put your district name in the subject field so they don't all combine together in a thread, it makes it easier so we can monitor each district. If you have any questions, give it a try and see how it goes. So let's hop into Tyler Deploy here. I'm going to share my screen. And sorry, password manager, I don't have that running yet. Second. And this is where I grab my phone and enter the authenticator code. Let's see, Tyler Deploy. So I'll go ahead and answer a question here that we had. Aaron asked, if Tyler support tells me that you have an MUN number, but not the version, can I search a specific MUN? And yes, you can. It's under release notes. And let's see here. Oh, well, they've changed the page on me. There used to be a way to search for, you may be able to do a work ticket here, Aaron. I had to get back to you on that one. They changed the interface on me there. So I'll get back to you on that. So let's hop into Tyler Deploy and going to select product deployments in Tyler Hub. I'm going to select train. I've already checked in I know my Omni bar is up to date in my train environment. This does go out and hit servers and it does take a moment to think. And then I see some more questions on here. We'll get to it in a moment. Well, I guess I can answer those while I think. So let's see here. So the slides for the presentation, I think Kim responded. Those will be sent afterwards. As far as somebody saying they're a new finance officer, someone could personally walk me through this updates. That's what I'm kind of doing now. I'd really like you can't mess up your test environment. It's your test environment. It's there exactly for us to mess around and see how things work, whether it's in ERP or using Tyler Deploy. So I would try, I'd suggest you try doing it in Tyler Deploy. Follow the steps that I'm doing here first for your test environment. And then if you have any issues after that, please reach out. So this is Tyler Hub again. I'm selecting the channel drop down, changing it to 2024.2. This gives you the warning that a release in this changing the channel will result in an upgrade. Select the release. For Tyler Hub, there's only one higher release number, so I can either do this now or I can schedule it for later, and it gives you a time here. It also down at the bottom gives you all the notes on what's happened with Tyler Hub, on improvements, what they've changed. So if you'd like to review those, I am not going to schedule it later. I'm actually going to hit start. It gives me, some warnings. Again, this is my test environment or my train environment, so it's not concerned at all. Hit OK. Now this is where it goes out to servers and does some thinking. You can see it's hitting a server, and it does take some time. The same thing happens when you schedule an upgrade, where it stops and thinks. Let it think. If you need to go on and do some other work, you can open up another tab. Or if you just want to sit here and stare at the screen, you can stare at the screen. But it does take a couple of minutes for it to do its job. So while that runs, let me answer some more questions. Is there a way to check for the DIA issues in Tyler Deploy? No, you need to check for DIA issues within EERP. And this is where I'm going to plug our KDE Enterprise SharePoint site, which I am going to drop in the message here, and it's also been part of our communication. On the left-hand side, I've pinned relevant, I think, important information that people need to reference frequently, and one of those being the quarterly releases. If you select that, there's all sorts of good information for upgrades, including an example of how you click through the buttons. There are informational resources. There is a link to the DIA instructions that are housed on our KDE SharePoint site. So that tells you how to walk through and run those DIAs. So next question is, I'm not getting the code on my phone. Who do I call to get that piece? So I guess the question would be, did you set it up already in the past? Is it backed up, depending on how you set up your account? Like I use the Microsoft Authenticator, and it's backed up to an account. So if I ever get a new phone, it'll all repopulate on that phone. I don't have to reset it up again. But that would be if you have another admin in your district, I think they can maybe get you set up. Or of course, a ticket with TSM SaaS support and let them know that your multi-factor authentication needs to get set up. And yes, somebody else said I had to get the Google Authenticator app for the code. Google Authenticator and Microsoft both work. I use Microsoft because KDE is a Microsoft environment, and I'm a Google girl too. It's just, I don't know, I just set up Microsoft. I like Microsoft. Let's see, any other questions? At any point here, if you want to raise your hand, we can turn your mic on if you wanted to chat. We're just sitting here and letting it think. Kathy, would you like to hop in at any point and just talk about what we talked about earlier with the what Tyler's doing on the servers?
Yes, so there's a group of non-production servers that they are actually doing some work on tonight. So if you do end up going in today and try to upgrade your test or train environment and it doesn't work, wait till tomorrow, try it again. And if you have any issues, once you've tried it and you're getting errors, you're not getting it to work, then the plan is, like Kristen said in the presentation, is to contact, copy myself and the KDE. I forgot what it's called, Kristen. The
EERP, EERP at education.ky.gov.
Yeah. So uh, use those emails. I am actually going to ask that you do that instead. I know typically I say put in a ticket, but this time let's do it this way because I've got a resource that as soon as something goes wrong, I'm contacting him and he's
And they're on
addressing it.
top of it.
And they're
He's
very
a
much
great
on top of
resource.
it. Yes.
He's worked with Kentucky for a long time. Now, if you
Right.
have other issues like, hey, my authenticator, I don't have access to Tyler Deploy. That is a case for TSM SaaS support.
Yes. Or like Kristen said earlier, if it's I don't get the emails and I want the emails, or I don't have access to Tyler Deploy and nobody in my district does, then you put a ticket in for things like that. Um, there was another question that I think Kristen that Jody had followed up on his prior question, and he was asking because I know I know this because I helped him get to dot 12 on one of his environments because the other two were in dot 12. So Jody, if you were going to upgrade now, then you would go on to 2024.2. If you wait, because you have until May, I still wouldn't wait until May. Like Kristen said, I recommend going on and taking those quarterly releases. But if you waited a little bit longer, let's say you wait until January and you decide to do it, then there's probably going to be 2024.3 at that point. So whichever the newest one is, then that's the one you would upgrade to. So that's typical because you're not going to have access to 2024.1 if none of your other environments are on that, if your non-prods are on that. Um, the other thing, let's see, what else did I have?
And I was talking about the upgrade we're going to have to the Kentucky Employee Benefits Program, or I should say update rather. And that will be, the update will go to all supported versions. So if you're running 2021.11, 12, 24, 2024.1, 2024.2, you'll receive that update, but you will not receive it at unsupported versions. So, but
Yes.
still, Kathy was saying, we're both saying there's no need to wait. I would think about doing a quarterly upgrade of your environments and just get it on your schedule. And you can see this is just going to sit and run forever. So if you're wanting to do your test environment yourself, just you can have it running, open up other tabs and work, and you can check on it later, or you can schedule it just to run behind the scenes. But if you want to see what's going on, this is what happens. It's watching paint dry. So I'm going to leave this webcast running. So if anybody wants to sit here and watch this that I'm sharing on the screen, or if you have questions, feel free to drop them in there. Raise your hand. We'll be happy to chat. Yeah, here's a good question. Okay to run test upgrade while we're working in production? Yes, it is. And that's actually makes me remember I meant to mention if you schedule these for after hours, do not schedule Tyler Hub and your EERP upgrade to happen at the same time. They need to have some lag between the updates and upgrades both. So they shouldn't be running concurrently. I'm not even sure. It may give you an error message when that happens, but just something to keep in mind if you want to do this overnight. Schedule one for maybe 1 a.m. and another one for 2 a.m. I see it
Mhm.
takes typically around, I thought it was maybe a half an hour for an upgrade to happen for ERP.
I think so. I think when I did Harlan counties this morning, it was about half an hour, but I would
Yeah,
allow an hour
yeah,
to
for sure. You
between.
want to keep that hour cushion just in case. See, any other questions? So yeah, I'm just gonna sit here and let this run. People can sit here and stare at it with me if you like. If you have more questions, let's see, here's something in Q&A. So another question here, is it better to upgrade one step at a time or go from 2010 to 2024? So it's actually 2021. I know it was a typo. You don't have a choice. Once you miss releases in your test environment, the only channel available to you to upgrade is the most current release. So if you missed upgrading your test environment to say 2021.12 or 2024.1, the only channels available to you in Tyler Deploy will be the most current release. So it's you have to skip. There's no option. So another reason why you probably want to think about doing this on a quarterly basis, so you're not taking that huge leap forward. It should be a small leap, but you still, that's a lot of versions to jump. Okay, well, it's getting closer to being done. Tyler Hub doesn't take as long to upgrade as EERP that I've noticed, but it still takes a few minutes. So, well, see, my deployment failed. So it's possible that whatever Tyler's doing today to fix the non-production environments will fix, and I'm just going to make a reminder and do this tomorrow. It's not the end of the world. And if it continues to fail, that's at that point I'd reach out to Kathy and myself. Please
Mhm.
put your district name in the subject line, and we will she will work with Tyler support, and they're
Yeah.
right on top of it, getting those things fixed. So it's great that we have a resource with Kathy that can reach out directly to the person that oversees the deployment at Tyler to get those fixed. So that's all I had for today. If you had any other questions, I'll hang out here for a moment, but if not, I'll see y'all online later sometime. Another webcast, maybe at Casbo, and those slides and a link to this presentation will also be sent out later.